Welcome back to Aussie Built. I'm Slunny. I'm going to take you on a tour of my 1995 Land Rover Discovery V8i 3-door. It's a good story behind this car. I reckon probably back in about 2019 I saw it advertised. It was a deceased estate from down in Victoria. I thought that'd be a good vehicle to buy. I sat on it for quite a while and in the end it was like too far to go. About 1 year later I saw it come up being advertised on one of the Land Rover forums. So popped up, I was onto it straight away, recognised the vehicle. So this vehicle was a deceased estate. It had sat for quite a number of years. It had done nothing other than sort of just probably weathered. That vehicle that I was going to buy or wanted to buy, that was subsequently picked up by the copper from Maryborough in Victoria. The copper there, he was a big two-door enthusiast. He was into restoring Range Rovers in particular. There was a really big market for the two-door Range Rover at the time. They were fetching prices of $100,000 plus, particularly with the exports back to the UK. The three-door Discoveries, on the other hand, weren't quite like that, but it was going to be interesting to see if a market generated that was similar to what the old Range Rovers were doing. I was looking for a three-door Discovery. I looked for about a year to try and find the right vehicle. The problem is that these were cheap back in the day and people would snap them up, they would cut them up for big tyres, modify them, butcher them, and so it became very difficult to find an original example similar to this one. There were very few that had cut guards, even if it was just as mere as a small camel cut on the back of the guard. So, come mid-2000, the copper from Maryborough, he's posted this up for sale, jumped on it straight away. That's something that I'm interested in. That same vehicle was sold from the deceased estate for about $1,500 from what I could see. The copper had bought that vehicle, fixed it up a bit, and he then sold it to me for about $4,500. So I was pretty happy with that because it was in great nick. Anyway, it was bought, other than photos, sight unseen, had good faith, hopefully being a copper, he could be relied on. I paid the money, organised a truck, and it came up into New South Wales. It was probably the last truck that came across the state border before COVID shut it. So that was mid-2000. It took about 3 weeks, I think, to get from Maryborough down to Melbourne, up to Sydney, and then out into Western New South Wales where it got delivered to here. After a bit of a process now, I've put it onto Club Rego, so we've got it now as historic Rego. This vehicle has now clicked over, so 2027 has now clicked over to 30 years old. It's a 1995 model, and so that allows me to, as a club member, put this on registration. Instead of it costing me about $1,000 per year, it costs me about $100 a year, and that means that I can drive it for about 60 times per year. Need to keep a logbook to do it. One of the conditions of this Club Rego is that the vehicle is basically stock standard. The club's had a review of it and the club are happy that it meets the requirements of Club Rego or historic Rego, and now we're back on the road. On the outside of the vehicle, this is the cool part. This part here is the really cool part. So these are one of the few that came out with no back doors, so being a three-door. That is exactly why I wanted it, and it had been unmolested. Fantastic. So in terms of what the vehicle is all about, so it's a March, I think it is, so 1995 vehicle, white, V8, manual. So on it, it's got the alloy wheels, which have been coloured and running BF Goodrich mud terrains. My theory is that if you've got a four-wheel drive, then you're probably going to use it off-road, and if you're going off-road, then you need to have mud tyres. If you've got mud tyres on, then you won't get stuck in the mud, and you can still drive on the road. But if you've got road tyres on, you probably get stuck in the mud, and that's where you damage the vehicle. Under the bonnet, this particular one is the update version. It's got the 3.9 litre V8, upgraded alternator, and it's got electronic cooling fans. Now the cool thing about this is that I thought this was absolutely standard, and it virtually is absolutely standard. However, the club were really sharp in picking up the engine number, the engine serial number for this. So it turns out this is not the original engine that came in it. So the motor that's in here is actually a factory new replacement motor that had been specified for the Discovery 2. So this is actually a Discovery 2 V8 block which is in it, and then it's been rebuilt with the rest of the 3.9 fuel injection running gear. The alternator is a heavy duty upgrade, puts out more power than what the standard one does. Fantastic for charging and for running accessories off the vehicle. However, it does interfere with the tachometer, so the tacho tells me that this thing's revving a little bit harder than what it actually is. Behind the 3.9 V8, there's a 5-speed gearbox. This one's got the upgraded R380 gearbox behind it. It's a stronger gearbox than the gearbox that went before it, and of course the renowned LT230 constant 4-wheel drive transfer case. Now for the interior, bare bones basic for a Discovery. There's no modifications which are in here other than maybe a new stereo that's been put in. So these ones came out with the updated dash. If you're familiar with the Discovery 2, this is a very similar dash, if not the same dash. There are some minor differences that I can see, mainly to do with the air conditioning system, where this one's got a manual system and the Discovery 2 has a fully automatic system. It's a comfortable interior, it's ergonomic, it's a fit that I know well, and feel very at home driving this vehicle. There are plenty of things which are cool about this car. The sound of the V8, the punch of the V8, everything else about the V8, smoothness. But the thing that's not cool is the fuel consumption. This little girl, it's probably getting about 21 litres per 100 kilometres. Now, as a guide, my Discovery 2 diesel, it's not economical in the slightest. It's probably getting about 13 to 15 litres per 100 kilometres. My road car, that gets about 8 litres per 100 kilometres. So she's a bit of a thirsty girl, I've got to say, but it still puts a smile on my dial. And with the cost of fuel these days, it's actually a little bit cheaper to drive than my Discovery, despite it being a lot more thirstier. Now, have a listen to this. This is what puts a smile on your dial. That's what having a V8's all about. Smiles per 100 kilometres. 79, so not the only V8 four-wheel drives around here. I'd argue this one's probably actually a bit quicker than a 79. And then off we go. So good! So good! And it's smooth, it rides like a limousine. How can a four-wheel drive ride like a limousine? We'll sit on these speeds all day and it'll do it happily. There you have it. There's my Discovery 1 V8 3-door 5-speed, absolutely standard, historic rego, and a pleasure to drive.